August 18th, 2017. I sit down in my very first business marketing class. The professor tells us that what he is about to do could cost him his entire career. And he proceeds to give me the greatest lesson I have ever learned of any class in my entire life. Fuck, I wish I had listened. Look, I'm from the Bay Area, a place where in order to survive, you need 2 jobs and 3 side hustles. No matter how much you make, it feels like you're always broke. But anytime we get money, we feel convinced we need to spend it on overpriced status symbols. That's what I did the first time I made money. I mean, hey, at least I get to drive over the Golden Gate Bridge and pretend I'm part of the wealthy technocrats taking over the world.
Bay Bridge, hard kid, run through my veins. Hang with me, bird, let me pocket everything. Cause my 310 shoes, they don't leave no clues. I book or break the laws, but I fuck or follow rules. Holla back, my Cartier Savoy fair. I was born round, I could never die squares like that.
So the lesson that the professor taught me that day was about Hummers. I know, bear with me. What he told us was that when Hummers were first released, they were dirt cheap. And the issue that Hummer had upon release was nobody wanted to buy them. And with some needs for profits, they jacked up the prices. Unfortunately though, people still did not want to buy Hummers. And so yet again, Hummer jacked up the prices. Now after multiple price increases, they were sitting there wondering why the hell their cars were not selling. And so they're sitting there scratching their heads, they put more into sales, and they say, you know what, whatever. We are sending the price through the roof. And they did it. And guess what happened? Hummers started to sell. People started to buy. What this man was highlighting was the fact that people will pay a high price tag because it is a high price tag. But what's more to this situation is not just the fact that people will pay the high price tag, but the fact that the price tag is a resemblance of an entrance into a group. And that group might be just the group that pays a high price tag. But also, what do you think about when you think of Hummers? You think guy that wants to be big and macho and might be compensating for something. And so if you are a guy that wants to be big and macho and might be compensating for something, then you will pay whatever the price tag is to get into that group and that category of people. And so right now you might be asking, well, why would this lesson be a risk to his career? Well, 2 things. One of them is that the man was legally bound in his contract with the school to go over the syllabus on his first day. This makes it so that when some kid who was a failure and didn't do any of the work, didn't pass any of the tests, tries to argue why he should have passed the class, the school can say, look, XYZ, this was gone over on the first day and we're in the clear, you failed, drop out. But he didn't do that because he actually had a personal vendetta against Hummers. And this can be explained only by Vespa. So the other reason why this lesson was risky to his career was that this lesson was verifiably false. When Hummers were first released in 1992, they were $40,000, which is the same price as a luxury Mercedes sedan. And so when the lesson ended with the man defaming Hummer and talking trash about gas-guzzling cars and overpriced cars and men that need to be compensating for something, which was included in the lesson, we began to realize that he had a certain personal meaning behind this lesson. He had a vendetta. He had something he needed to fulfill. And it wasn't until weeks later that we realized the man made a poor investment. He opened up the 3rd Vespa dealership in the United States. He saw a gap in a market. He saw an opportunity, and everything he thought about going into this investment made total sense. Parking lots are too crowded. Gas is way too expensive. Cars are way too expensive. Roads are overcrowded. Vespas are small. You can fit a lot of them in a parking lot. They are like $5,000 to $6,000 and they get like 80 miles to the gallon. I mean, this solves every single problem. He thought he was a genius and he forgot the one simple fact that he teaches business marketing to students, and in those lessons, he teaches them that price does not reflect value. Price reflects what people desire inside and what they tie their identity to. And most people don't want their identity tied to a Vespa. They'd rather the Mercedes sedan or the Hummer. So he was perfectly willing to defame Hummer because he was pissed off. The people who were not tactical, not necessarily ethical, won in sales and marketing because he tried to go the route of value. And so I'm sitting there, and I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, oh my God, this guy does this for a living, and he completely forgot every single thing he teaches and made a horrible decision. But if I had just listened, instead of laughing, I would be better off today. There's a plague going on in the world right now. A corruption of minds seeping into our everyday lives at a rate that should terrify everyone. Our identities now live online instead of in the real world. Real connection has been replaced with likes and false representation. The pursuit of short-term gratification is leaving the masses behind, fragile and weak. We're told what to think, how to act, and what to desire. But when we follow the wave of a confused population, we never get to find out who we truly are. We chase identity and tribalism because we have no belonging to ourselves. When I first made some money and started buying expensive items, one thing became apparent to me. I felt like a fraud in my own body. I was convinced that high price tag purchases made me cooler or more likable, but all it did was make me feel less like myself. The more we lose sight of ourselves, the more susceptible we are to deception and sin. If I met that professor today, I'd tell him thank you. Not for the lesson, but for making just one small chip in the mountain of chaos. That is the misled desires of humanity. For revolutions don't happen overnight. It starts with small seeds of change planted one at a time. If you want a better life, I urge you, be frugal, be patient, be creative, be disciplined. You are more capable than you realize. Your time will come.
Hit the mini mansion, pretty black boy counting wop. Send me automatic cock, cause I don't trust that nigga. Smoking purple, so I'm calm, though a known cat pillar. Eyes low gone, I'm a stone crack dealer. Surrounded by monsters like Mike Jack Thriller. Riding round strapped, cause I might jack niggas.